What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you week 1 of season 8 of our 2-time title defense of the CPC, and this week we are in a championship rematch against Evan and his Brighton Bewears. And before I get into the team, just a reminder that if you guys like this video, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, as it helps us out a ton, and let's do more cool stuff for you guys. But anyway, on to the team. Like I said, we are up against Evan, and his team is composed of Mew, Thundurus, Incarnate, Terrakion, Mamoswine, Metagross, Umbreon, Seismitoad, Moltres, Quillfish, Whimsicott, and Mega Kangaskhan, with Terrakion and Whimsicott both being his Z-Mons. I keep forgetting that Terrakion's a Z. For whatever reason, I'm always associating his Z-Mon with Thundurus, so if I do that later in the video, I apologize. But yeah, Terrakion's a Z-Mon, not Thundurus. But basically, his team, on paper, it looks like I have an amazing matchup, but in practice, his team is actually super annoying for me to deal with. I mean, just the amount of bulk he can throw at me, in addition to having 2 grass types so that Tapu Koko can't just kind of run through his team, makes it a really difficult matchup. I started off thinking that like Tapu Koko would be my win con, but really just in this matchup, it's a lot better as a taunt momentum grabber and a potential revenge killer more so than a cleaner, so that's kind of what I was going for. But yeah, Thundurus is an insane threat. Luckily, the combination of Tapu Koko, Nidoqueen, Swampert, and forgetting one more, just basically the combination of my team means that he is not able to run a boosting move without losing coverage on something. Like, he has to have Sledge Wave for Tapu Koko, he has to have Psychic for Nidoqueen, he has to have Grass Knot for my Swampert, and then he has to have Thunderbolt to have a good stab against everything else. So basically, Thundurus has insane 4-move slot syndrome, which I'm hoping that I'll be able to exploit, especially because I'm thinking, and Jolt predicted, that the best set that he could bring for Thundurus against me is an Agility 3 attack set, which I agree, as that could potentially decimate me, but it really will be a crapshoot to which mons he predicts me to bring and what coverage he does end up bringing as well. So yeah, I mean, his team, very threatening. Looks like he has a ton of things that just disrupt me just enough, as well as potentially just being annoying and taking hits from mons that really, it's just like, okay, come on, just die already. So yeah, my MO, as it ends up, is going to be to spike stack him and taunt the crap out of him with my mons. I'm bringing 3 hazard setters and 3 taunt mons and a Buzzwole, so this is going to be a very interesting matchup to say the least. The first mon that I'm bringing is going to be a Roost, Grass Knot, Volt Switch, Taunt, Tapu Koko, and like I said, this is the main way of grabbing momentum against his team. You might look at the Shuka Berry and be like, well, what is this, Season 6 of CPC? And yeah, kind of, sort of, but basically, Tapu Koko, once his Seismitoad and Mamoswine are gone, it spams Volt Switch like crazy and really just sets me up in an amazing position. I can gain momentum, get a heavy hit off on whatever is in, and go into whatever I need to switch into to properly deal with that mon. So that's ultimately what Tapu Koko is designed to do. The Shuka Berry is to lure in the Mamoswine or the Seismitoad and be able to KO them, or at least severely weaken them with Grass Knot, to where I can revenge it. Sorry if you can hear the sirens outside. But yeah, that's going to be the MO of this Tapu Koko, is just wear stuff down, prevent stuff from being able to set up, and then gain momentum so I can go into my hazard setters or go into my walls that can annoy him, force the switches, and rack up the hazard damage. So the speed, I'm actually going incredibly aggro on this Tapu Koko. I'm creeping his Thundurus, creeping my Jirachi. I'm just creeping his Thundurus, creeping my Jirachi. I could go with the Modest, but I decided that the bulk was better. Especially, I decided to split between the physical and special bulk so that I can take Earthquakes even better from the likes of Seismitoad and Mamoswine, namely Mamoswine, and hit them hard back with the Grass Knot. And then I maxed out my special attack just so that Tapu Koko can hit as hard as possible. Next up, we have my Greninja with Water Shuriken, Spikes, Hydro Pump, and Taunt. And you might be wondering, wait, Sticks, why are you bringing a Greninja that can't touch a Water Absorb Seismitoad? And to be honest, I don't know. Just kind of made the most sense. I mean, I still think that this is the best set. I mean, I could very easily run Grass Knot, but I think the combination of, basically, these are the best 4 moves that I need. Yeah, I can't touch Seismitoad, but Seismitoad is much less of a threat than something else, like say I get rid of Water Shuriken. Well, then a Scarf Terrakion or a Scarf Mamoswine becomes much more of a threat. Say I get rid of Spikes, well then suddenly I lose a ton of damage on his grounded mons, lose Hydro Pump, I lose a big way, like I lose my main damage on this Greninja, which I cannot afford to not have, and Taunt, things like Mew can set up on me, Umbreon beats me, I can prevent Seismitoad from setting up rocks, like basically Taunt is just insanely necessary on this Greninja. The speed, I'm outspeeding Thundurus, just I'm not bothering with any aggressive creeps with this Greninja. I'm just going very, very fast, throwing the rest into special attack and my HP so that I can, I don't know, maybe take one hit or two. Next up is going to be my Spadef Nidoqueen with Stealth Rock, Rock Slide, Toxic, and Earth Power with the Wiki Berry. This is my Thundurus answer. This set, barring a Life Orb Thundurus, is not able to be 2-hit KO'd by anything Thundurus wants to go for. So say I'm in a position in the... Well, I'm thinking that if Thundurus is going to be brought out, it's going to be saved until the late game. Like, if it's a Life Orb Thundurus, it's most likely his way of potentially winning the game, so he'll try to save that towards the end. Therefore, Nidoqueen doesn't need to be able to take the Life Orb Psychics, not that it could take the Life Orb Psychics anyway, but I digress. Basically, Nidoqueen is for early game Thundurus. Like, if I need to switch into Thundurus early, it is much less likely to be Life Orb, and this set takes 2 Psychics after Rocks, guaranteed from any variant of Thundurus that isn't Life Orb, and it will proc my Wiki Berry, so not only will I be able to get Stealth Rock up on that thing, I will be able to Rock Slide it as well. Rock Slide is there over something like Ice Beam, because it does hit a potential Assault Vest Thundurus, which would be the most likely early game Thundurus that he does bring. Toxic is just nice and spammable against his team, and then Earth Power is just, you know, a nice little stab move to have right over there. Next up is going to be an Assault Vest Buzzwole. Now this started off, there we go, I already had my mess up of talking. There's your classic Sticks narration right there. But my Buzzwole started off as a Koba Berry set for his Mamoswine, but as it evolved, it turned out that Assault Vest was just better, because things like Mew could just easily KO me with Psychic, things like Thundurus could go for Thunderbolt, basically Assault Vest took all the hits that I needed Buzzwole to in the beginning, but it also gave me added utility outside of just Mamoswine. So that's ultimately the set that I went with. This set, I believe the special defense is to not be 2-hit KO'd by a life, or yeah, to avoid the 2-hit KO from just a Life Orb, no special attack invested Mamoswine's HP flying. That's ultimately what it went for, but it also has some very cool calcs, like being able to live a +2 non-invested Muse Psychic from full guaranteed, so that's pretty cool. And then the speed, I went kind of aggro again and tried to speed creep him, speed creeping me, speed creeping his Metagross. So that's ultimately what I went for with this Buzzwole, trying to catch the Mamoswine ultimately. So I'm hoping that this ends up going for. Like, if I needed the EVs and something else, I would have thrown it there, but I was still able to take the hits that I needed to with the investment that I have, as well as have a little bit extra damage in attack, but also still be able to creep the way I wanted to. Oh, and also I have Rock Tomb over Rock Slide, just because it's nice for lowering speed of things like Mew or Thundurus on the switch-in, so that I can just lower their speed and be able to hit them with the correct move following that. Like if he tries to switch in, resisting my Drain Punch, I can take advantage of that. Next up is going to be a Toxic Spikes Cofagrigus, because apart from Quillfish, his team despises Toxic Spikes. And I'm not thinking Quillfish is going to be brought, because, I mean, I have a Tapu Koko, I have a Greninja, I have just basically my team craps on Quillfish, and so like that's really what I'm hoping to exploit this early in the season. Just like catch him off guard with Toxic Spikes, wear things down, get some poison, so that the hazards plus poison plus momentum will put his mons in a position where like Buzzwole, Greninja, or Arrow will be able to take them out, or even Koko to a lesser extent. And then this is also my, I want to say quote-unquote main switch into Kangaskhan, but basically Cofagrigus is just kind of like a backup answer to all of them. It relieves some of the pressure off of Buzzwole to take on like Mamoswine and Terrakion. Same thing with Nidoqueen, except taking on Terrakion. Just basically, Cofagrigus is a very nice backup defensive check to those mons. While not being able to beat them 1v1 necessarily, I'll still be able to do a ton of damage and hopefully support my team with the combination of Toxic Spikes, Pain Split, and Shadow Ball. Toxic is also there because while this is my main switch into Mega Kang, there's nothing that Cofagrigus has that can hit Kangaskhan, and I'm thinking that he'll have 4 move slot syndrome to where he will not be able to go for a substitute. So even though he might be able to toxic me, I might be able to toxic him right back, and we can be at a standstill where at least I can get toxic spikes up against the rest of his team. The EVs, nothing special, just a very defensive Cofagrigus. And finally, we have a bulky Mega Aerodactyl with Edgequake, or Slidequake in this case, Roost and Taunt. Just does a ton of work against his team. Offensive Mega Arrow, even though this is insanely bulky, this like just checks a whole lot, outspeeds a whole lot, just able to take hits, taunt, roost up, and be able to chip things down, which is mainly what I want this Mega Arrow to do. The speed is for Kangaskhan. The defense, I believe, is to guaranteed live a Terrakions close combat, Scarf Terrakions close combat after rocks. I'll be able to guaranteed live, and then the rest is into attack so that I can hit his team very hard. So yeah, that is a team. Let's just go ahead and hop right on over to the battle. Alrighty, here we are in the battle, and the first thing I'm noticing is that, unfortunately, he brought all of the threats. I mean, just very, very scary team. Unfortunately, Terrakion did not come either, which was the one threat of his that I felt I was the most prepared for, but not seeing Quillfish is amazing for me, meaning that T-Spikes will do quite well against him, and so that's just kind of going to be my MO. I want to get my T-Spikes up early so that I can poison his very bulky mons and just try to avoid getting swept in one way or another. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop right on into it. I am going to lead off with my Koko as he leads off with his Seismitoad, and knowing that I can take whatever hit the Seismitoad wants to go for, I'm just going to fire off a Grass Knot turn 1, figure out what type of damage this does to Seismitoad, and it does look like it will be an easy 2-hit KO. I'm not going to bother predicting anything early on. I'm just going to go for the Grass Knot as he goes into his Kangaskhan, and now I'm going to Volt Switch out as if he wants to go for Fake Out. Well, cool, but odds are he doesn't even have Fake Out, considering I have a Cofagrigus, a Buzzwole, and an Aerodactyl, so this is more than likely a support Kangaskhan set, as he does reveal to have the Toxic. The damage revealed that he is a bulky Kangaskhan, but now with my Cofagrigus in, I'm going to fire off a Toxic as nothing on his team is immune to it, and at the very least I can get a Poison racking up on this Kangaskhan because it is Mega, it does not have any recovery, and now I'm going to go for my T-Spike because I already have the Poison on Kang. I cannot touch it, unfortunately, and now I can even Pain Split up as he does receive the Wish. Really, there was just like no downside to going for T-Spike on that turn, as he did try to predict me and goes for a Toxic of his own. But at this point, I am going to try to recover up a little bit of health as I go for the Pain Split. Whimsicott comes in, gets poisoned, reveals not to have leftovers, but I really don't know what type of set this Whimsicott is, so I am going to go straight into my Nidoqueen, as he does end up defogging, which is very, very nice for me because I have poison on 2 members of his team. His Whimsicott is in against my Nidoqueen, he got rid of his own rocks, and so I'll be able to get up rocks of my own as he goes back into his Seismitoad, and this is just kind of a, okay, well, my rocks are up, my Tapu Koko is still at full health, still has his Shuka Berry. I'm going to go straight back into that thing and just rinse repeat. I have zero reason to predict this early in the game, as he does go back into his Kangaskhan, but the difference between this situation and earlier in the game is Kangaskhan is not only weakened, it is poisoned as well, and here is where I make my first misplay of the game. So I go for Volt Switch, and that in itself was not a misplay. Like, I stand by that play. But I do end up going into my Cofagrigus because I was overly paranoid about my Mega Aerodactyl coming in and potentially getting poisoned by a Kangaskhan Toxic. However, Cofagrigus with Whimsicott defogging is very important for not only taking hits from stuff like Seismitoad or Mamoswine later in the game, but I can potentially even get my Toxic Spike back up, which will be insanely important for chipping down things like the Mamoswine and the Mew. So I make the misplay by going into my Cofagrigus thinking that he will probably try to go for the Toxic to try to catch my Mega Arrow, but I've already revealed that Cofagrigus is my main switch into his Kangaskhan. He'll probably just go for some damage, as Kangaskhan will go down to the poison this turn, and that's exactly what he does. He goes for the Earthquake, and that, unfortunately, will put my Cofagrigus in a range where it cannot take any hits. Like, there's no hit from any mon on his team that my Cofagrigus can take, and so that was a misplay. I should have gone Arrow, because even if it was poisoned, that's not the end of the world, and having a healthy Cofagrigus would have been very, very nice, as he will be able to knock me out with an Earthquake right there. But I am going to go into my Buzzwole, and this is where like, I made an over prediction. So like, normally I try not to make predictions. Like, I try to make my game plan such that I don't have to make any plays, I don't have to make any predictions, and just by playing the team the way it's supposed to, I will be able to win the game in a very straightforward manner. At this point, he has Mew and Thundurus both at completely full health. Granted, I do have rocks up, and I'm more than likely going to go for Drain Punch. So I'm thinking that, okay, he could try to go into his Seismitoad, but 2 Drain Punches will be able to knock that thing out, no questions asked. And so I was thinking that he might try to take advantage of me going for the Drain Punch and go into his Mew or Thundurus, which I tried to just kind of make the middle ground play and catch both of those with a Rock Tomb. And if Mamoswine stayed in and it outsped me and went for HP Flying, well then I'd outspeed it the next turn and go for the Drain Punch. It just felt like going for Rock Tomb covered more plays that he could potentially make than just going for a Drain Punch in this situation, but unfortunately he does pull the switch into Seismitoad, actually sacking it off. I thought Seismitoad was at a high enough health that he wouldn't sack it off quite yet, especially because my Greninja would become a huge threat to him, but unfortunately that's exactly what he does. But now, with Seismitoad in, with Seismitoad getting low, I'm going to go into my Greninja, just try to get a spike up. Greninja's not looking like it's going to do a whole heck of a lot, as I am just going to get up a spike, expecting to take an Earthquake, as he goes for the Drain Punch, and at this point I was like, oh crap, well he has Drain Punch, I don't want him to get out of range of Tapu Koko, and this is where the fact that Seismitoad recovered that much is going to come into play. So on this turn, with my Greninja as low as it is, he could very easily just go for an Earthquake to knock out my Greninja. In that case, I could pull the switch into Buzzwole or Aerodactyl to try to take that Earthquake as well as possible, and he could potentially catch me with a Scald. If he does go for Scald and I stay in, well then you know what, I'd outspeed him anyway, and the combination of Scald plus Poison will be able to take me down. So basically, what I'm coming away from that situation with is the fact that I don't think he's going to go for Earthquake. I really don't think he's going to go for Earthquake. It's just too potentially useful to get just enough to be out of range of another Grass Knot from my Tapu Koko. I don't think he's going to go for the Earthquake, so I'm going to make a very ballsy play and go hard Tapu Koko on a very easy Earthquake from the Seismitoad, as I do luckily get that play right as he goes for Drain Punch, and I will be able to just fire off a Grass Knot. No matter what he goes into, will not be able to take it. It'll have to come in on rocks and a spike, and the Seismitoad does luckily go down, meaning that if I'm in a situation later where I can fire off Hydro Pumps, Greninja with the combination of Poison, unfortunately will take me down, but I will be able to fire off 2 Torrent boosted, Mystic Water boosted Hydro Pumps that hopefully will be able to take something out. He goes into his Mamoswine. I'm predicting this Mamoswine to be Scarfed. I'm definitely thinking that this is going to be a Scarf Mamoswine. I mean, why else would he bring it in? Either way, I'm going to go for the Grass Knot. As I do outspeed, I don't KO it, revealing that this Mamoswine is Assault Vest, as I am able to eat my Shuka Berry. But at this point, I'm thinking that Koko still has a Life Orb, or not a Life Orb, still has a Rock Switch in left, so I will be able to like roost up on potentially the Whimsicott or the Mew or the Thundurus later in the game, although Thundurus I'm anticipating to have Sludge Wave, so that's kind of beside the point, but like maybe I can get up a roost, or I can go for a Taunt as a last ditch, like okay, I'm about to die, but at least you're not going to be able to set up or recover up on me. That's kind of why I'm saving Koko, and also similarly why I'm saving Greninja. So I'm going to go into my Buzzwole, as I'm thinking that the Ice Shard play is super telegraphed, as that's exactly what he goes for, and now I can take an HP Flying, but it turns out I'm actually faster. I was able to catch him creeping, and Buzzwole will be able to take out the Mamoswine with a Drain Punch, and now I'm at 66% as he goes into his Whimsicott, and I'm thinking, okay, he might just try to defog so that Thundurus and Mew can come back in later, but nope, he just goes for the Moonblast. Hindsight 2020, probably should have gone to Nidoqueen, but at the same time I was thinking, okay, Nidoqueen's at such high amount of health, it's my main answer to his Thundurus, and there's no one attack he can go for. Like, he has to be Psychium Z in order to one-hit my Nidoqueen, but I'm thinking he's more than likely going to be the aforementioned Life Orb Agility set to try to beat me down and just outspeed my entire team. So I'm thinking that's what he's going to be. So I do just stay in, Leech Life the Whimsicott, am able to take that down as Assault Vest comes in clutch, and between his Thundurus and his Mew, goes into his Thundurus. I'm just going to go straight for the Rock Tomb. If he tries to set up, he doesn't mess around, he just goes immediately for the Thunderbolt. And you might be thinking at this point, okay, this is a very easy 4-0. I just go into my Aerodactyl, I Rock Slide the Thundurus, take that thing out, Mew comes in, I taunt it, and slowly wear it down with the combination of Earthquake while roosting up, and always taunting him so that he's never able to either set up, get a status off, heal up, anything like that. However, that's not the way my mind works, and this is where the title of this video comes into play. So I was thinking, okay, any other player would just go Aerodactyl, go for Rock Slide, knock out the Thundurus, taunt the Mew, and win the game from there, especially because I have such a bulky Aerodactyl. But at this point, I actually took a while on this. I think I took longer on this turn than I've taken on really any other turn in my draft format career. Like, I don't recall taking as long as I did on another turn than I did on this turn, because I was thinking, okay, what ways can he beat me? Instead of thinking of my ways to win, I was thinking of my ways that I could potentially lose. And one of those was going into Aerodactyl, going for the Rock Slide. He somehow is a Life Orb Thunder Wave set, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. If you're going to be Life Orb Thunderous against my team, you're going to be a boosting nature so that you can outspeed, you know, both the Koko and the Aerodactyl and the Greninja and the Raichu. Like, you're going to be a nature that allows you to outspeed all of those mons. Or not a nature. You're going to be a set that allows you to outspeed those mons if you're going to be Life Orb. But I just could not risk it. I was like, I can't do it. Like, if he somehow is a Life Orb T-Wave set, then I will lose the game if I get haxed out enough. So trying to prevent the hacks from playing any role, I'm instead going to go into my Nidoqueen and fire off a Rock Slide, as I will be able to take whatever hit he wants to go for. I was anticipating the Psychic turns out to be the Grass Knot, and I will be able to knock this thing out with Rock Slide, and then Toxic, can't miss because I'm a Poison type, in combination with 3 Taunt users and a bulky Mega Arrow will allow me to win the game. So yeah, I mean, like, his Mew does end up being the exact set that, I don't want to say I predicted because my FO did. Every single one of them brought the same exact Calm Mind, Psychic, Earth Power, Roost set, and so it was just like, I wonder what this Mew is going to be. But lo and behold, it is a Calm Mind, Psychic, Earth Power, Roost set, but luckily with the Toxic on it, it won't be able to set up a whole lot, and I am just going to try to get a little bit of damage off. I went for the Earth Power as I was like, whatever, I just want to see what type of damage this does. Just try to figure out this Mew set more and more. Does turn out to be an insanely special or physically bulky set. So yeah, had I saved Buzzle, it would have outsped and been able to leech life. But you know what? You live and you learn. I am able to go into my Koko right here as I'm thinking, okay, I could go into Greninja and fire off a Torrent-boosted Hydro Pump, but that has the potential to miss. So instead I'm going to sack off my Koko just to get the taunt, because with the fact that this Mew is nearly max defense, like it has almost zero special attack, I will be able to go into my Arrow and just go for the Rock Slide, and there's no move that he can go for. Like, he has to be Thunderbolt to knock me out. Turned out he was not Thunderbolt, as I do actually even get the flinch. Didn't actually matter because Arrow lived any hit that this Mew went for, barring a crit, and I will be able to win the game 2-0. So yeah, I mean, my Psyche ended up turning a 4-0 into a 2-0, but you know what? Take the win. Figure out in the end game, like, how you can potentially lose to hacks is by looking for ways that you can lose. And had he been Thunder Wave and I got paralyzed a bunch, well, that guaranteed win would have turned into a potential just super hacksy loss. I mean, I would have been salty, but you know what? 2-0 win is better than a hacksy loss. I will take it. And thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.